another Dark Strategies battle report. We have 1,000 points of Death Guard versus Orks. Not a matchup that I typically see out there a lot, so curious to see how this one goes. John's gonna fine-tune his list a little bit more in this particular battle part. We're just doing 1,000 points now just to kind of just figure out the Death Guard a little bit more, see what's working, see what's not, and then he'll kind of expand and get more. And then again, I'm curious because I'm actually working on a Death Guard army for this summer as well. So things to learn, but excited to play on the Ork tabletop board here with all the Ork terrain. You'll see it in the tabletop review of the terrain itself, but another setup for the Orks. Bad Moons, love playing them. We'll see how they do against the Death Guard. Armor of Contempt and Orks kind of have a little issues there, but I think we can get through them. I'm bringing an elite list tonight, so as far as Death Dreads and armor things, essentially, no Green Tide on this particular one. So I'm hoping I get first turn. If I do, I will zoom up the board, try and claim as many objectives as possible, and then just hit the Death Guard line and hopefully crack them open. It is a little bit of that, what do you call it, glass hammer type thing, where if the Orks can crack into the Death Guard and not die in return, especially at 1,000 points, they might actually win this one. We'll see, because there are, this particular mission objectives, there's 3 right down the middle, so it'll be interesting. I know John's probably still going to bring Plague Burst Crawler, probably bring some Psychic. Orks don't have any Psychic tonight. I think he's going to switch out his Predator with something else. We'll see what he does. Maybe a drone, I'm not sure. So that will be that. Like and subscribe if you like the battle reports thus far. More to come as always, but let's get into the battle. Welcome to the tabletop review of tonight's battle report. This is the second showing of the Ork terrain. Different configuration from the last battle report that they were featured in. Very excited to play on this board. It's gorgeous, and we have Orks versus Death Guard, so that makes it even more awesome. As far as the mission, we are going to be playing out of the chapter-approved Warzone Neckman Grand Tournament Mission Pack. If you want to follow along, we are on page 16 and 17. We're going to be playing Cleanse the Land as far as the mission goes. So, for tonight, the mission dictates that we have to split the table up into quarters. One deployment is behind the green triangles here, and the other deployment is on the other side over here. And then we have a quadrant of no man's land here, and on this side here. And then there is a 18-inch diameter no man's land in the middle as a circle around the center objectives. There are 5 objectives in this mission, symmetrically placed around the center. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that means right down the center, no man's land, there's 3 unclaimed objectives, and then in each deployment, there is an objective in each quadrant. So, as you can see from the different angles around here, the deployment areas are somewhat, I wouldn't say cluttered, but there is definitely line of sight blocking, layers of them on each side. And then over here we have the mechs workshop over here, and again line of sight blocking here, line of sight blocking here, and a little bit down the middle here. And then right down the middle we have the 2 big Stampa Towers. These are going to be played as industrial structures, so as you can see through these things, but it's going to be offering a -1 to hit when shooting through it or into it. So that will be a pretty big line of -1. Both forces, if they have firepower, will be firing through -1 to hit, which is a little tough for Orks, but hey, Orks like to get up close and personal. And then we have kind of 2 avenues. One avenue down here, objective 4 here, kind of wide open. And then there's another wide open road down the left here, objective 3. And then on each side of these objectives, there's a huge line of sight blocking terrain silos. And over here as well, line of sight blocking terrain silos. You can get around them. There are space to get around. So that will be interesting to see how all of this line of sight blocking is utilized. If units get up into the industrial structures, that will provide a lot of height, and you can definitely see, all the orc structures on each deployment are pretty low. So if they do get up there, they'll have a good line of sight blocking, or line of sight to anything really that they want to shoot at. We are going to play this kind of in the middle of the towers as passable. So if tanks and dreadnoughts or whatever, if they can fit, they can go through here, but not through the side here and not through the side here. Just because I want to have 3 different avenues. I don't want vehicles just to be pigeonholed into left and right. I want them to be able to go up the board for both sides. So that is that. Let's get in to the armies. 1,000 points of Ork Bad Moons tonight. I will be bringing a combat patrol detachment with War Boss Bloodgut himself in the HQ slot. We do have him equipped with a Decilaclaw, and he also has Brutal but Cunning for that great combo there. In the troop section, we have 10 Gretchen. Stand on those objectives and get as many points as possible. 3 Mega Knobs, all equipped with Combi Scorches. They more than likely will be riding in the Battle Wagon. Now, this isn't the Bone Breaker, but it does have the Death Roll upgrade to it, so we're going to get up the field and get up close and personal with some of those Death Guard units. Also bringing my boys Clank and Clunk. They are maxed out with Dreadclaws, so they'll be charging up the field as well. And then we're going to give 5 Knobs a try, all equipped with Power Claws, and they're going to be in a truck, and they have the Truck Boys upgrade. So it should work. We'll see if that truck stays around long enough. If I can get turn 1, that would be great. In the Flying Flyer role, we do have a Daka Jet. I do like the Daka Jet. He's equipped with all maxed out Super Shooters, so he'll be hopefully popping those Poxwalkers at least into turn 3 if he can stay alive. I'm going to spend 2 points for an auxiliary support detachment to bring 3 more Mega Knobs, also equipped with Combi Scorches, and they're going to spend 2 additional points for Teleporta to come down turn 2, turn 3, where I need them, objective grabbers, and kind of a counter-assault attempt. So that is 1,000 points of Orks. Let's see what John brings with the Death Guard.
So today I'm bringing 2 units of Poxwalkers, 10 each. The HQ is the Plaguecaster, and he will have the Miasma of Pestilence and the Gift of Contagion along with Smite. Then we have 2 units of 7 Plague Marines. Each one has a Parfist, a Blight Launcher, and both units have the Icon of Despair and Sigil of Decay. In the center, we have a bloated Blight Drone, and he's going to have the Blight Launcher. On the left, we have a Rhino, just standard Rhino with the Kami Bolter, and then on the right, we have the Plaguecaster, with Entropy Cannons.
All right, deployment has been finished for both sides. The Orks did win the roll-off for Attacker Defender and chose Defender. We did pick this quadrant versus this kind of shanty town over here. We'll call that the Mech Boys Workshop because that's where it's over there. But as far as the Ork deployment goes, Daka Jet kind of off to the center, essentially going to fly up. It can choose left or right. And then on my right flank, we do have the Truck Boys, the Knobs, I should say. Tucked away in this shanty, we have the 10 Gretchen, and we are towing in on that Objective 5 there. And then right down the middle, we do have the battle wagon. Inside the battle wagon is the war boss and 3 meganobs. And then we have Clank and Clunk here holding down my left side. As far as, I think we did cover this in the terrain deployment, but as far as vehicles, this is one roadway, this is another roadway, and we are going to play just this section here, the walkway. Vehicles can pass underneath and through that, but not through here or here, just so there's some openings for vehicles to run through, because there are plenty of vehicles on both sides. On the Death Guard side, the Mech Boys Workshop, we have the Plague Burst Crawler, kind of off-centered on the right flank. Up on top here, kind of cool sitting on the shanty town wall, the ramparts. We have 7 Plague Marines, and then we have right and left of the Death Guard's objectives, 10 Poxwalkers, 10 Poxwalkers, and then tucked away here is the Malignant Plague Caster. In this Rhino on the left flank is a unit of 7 Plague Marines as well. And then we have the drone on the left flank here looking probably to get out across this way. So we're going to roll off now to see who gets first turn. Death Guard get. Oh, Death Guard rolled a 1. All right, Orks get first turn. So we're going to run up the field probably, gun nut engines, and create that smoke cloud. So let's get into Orks turn 1. Orks just finished their movement phase at the top of turn 1. The Gretchen stayed put. They're going to try and hold down that objective 5 as long as they can. Over on my right flank, the truck popped a wheelie over here. Just standard 12-inch move, and got on to objective 3. The Daka Jet as well came over on the right flank here, spray some shots probably into the Plague Marines or the Poxwalkers through that building there. In the center, battle wagon with the war boss powered through that center advanced. I think I rolled a 5 for the advance, so that was a big 17-inch roll. So we're already encroaching in on the Death Guard area. And then on my left flank, Death Guard's right flank, Clank and Clunk advanced down this alleyway on objective 4. So the Orks have set up a perimeter down the center. And let's see, shooting phase, not so much as shooting in the Orks. The only thing that can really shoot is the truck and the Daka Jet. And then we'll get into no charges, actually, because we advanced. So that's that. We'll get into the shooting phase, and then the Death Guard can get their turn in. End of Orks turn 1. The shooting here, the Daka Jet was contemplating what to shoot at. I was going to shoot at the Plague Marines up top, but with the Armor of Contempt nullifying my -1, and they're in the +1 to their save, they'd be at a 2-up save. So I let them go, but I did drop 4 of the Poxwalkers through the window there from the Daka Jet. And then just the big shooty here, shot at the Plague Drone, but didn't do anything. So that was it for shooting. I did score 2 points for direct assault, claiming an objective marker that I didn't have. And then I scored 2 points for engage on all fronts for here, here, and here. So let's get into Death Guard, bottom of turn 1, movement and psychic phase. All right, so Death Guard, bottom of turn 1, they did their movement and psychic phase.
All right, so the Poxwalkers inside this building have moved through the building to sort of meet up with that truck over there. The Plague Burst moved over. He might take a shot the center unit or those walkers over there. The Poxwalkers in the building are spreading their sickness on that objective. The HQ shot a smite over to the center truck over there, dealing
3 mortal wounds.
3 mortal wounds. The Blade Drone and the Rhino moved up to sort of block that truck over there, because that's over there is a bunch of nasty. So now we're going to move over to shooting phase and see how we do.
Yep, and then the Plaguecaster did cast Miasma of Pestilence on the Plague Burst Crawler.
That's right.
So on to the shooting phase. Let's see what happens. Of turn 1, Death Guard what did they do? They shot a whole bunch at the battle wagon.
Basically shooting everything at the battle wagon, dealing quite a bit of damage. Is now down to 1 wound. The Plague Marines at the very top, I used a stratagem called Virulent Rounds just to see if I can get something with that Plague Weapon rule. It didn't do much, but at least it did some extra wounds that probably wouldn't have gone through. But that's the end of the shooting phase.
Yeah, the biggest damage dealer here was the Plagueworks Crawler and the drone over there. And then some wounds came from the bolters and the that was about it. I mean, it was good. It was definitely good. John was hoping one more wound to get off of him at the end there, but he's crippled pretty bad though in here. The War Boss and the Mega Knobs definitely will be coming out because they can't sit in that truck anymore. So let's head into top of turn 2, Orks. Top of turn 2, Ork movement phase has been completed. In the command phase for the primary objectives, take and hold, Orks did score 12 because they were kind of commanding the center and the backfield there. So that was good for points-wise. Movement phase, what happened? Over here, the truck came over and power slid, and then emptied its contents here. We're going to try and deal with the drone with the power claws. And then the idea here is to block this entryway and make them blow up the truck before they can get through. On this side, the end of the movement phase, the teleporta Mega Knobs came in. I was tempted to come in actually behind lines here, but we'll get over there of why I didn't. So they came in over here. The thought here is a charge unit. If I can get the charge off on the Rhino, sure, I'll take it. But if not, if the drone does drop, the knobs are kind of wide open to getting shot at or charged a lot. So the thought is these guys will then be around to theoretically countercharge. The battle wagon, since it was on 1 wound, just before it moved, the Mega Knobs got out. We did call a WOG in this top of turn 2. War Boss Blood got down here, called it. So I could advance and charge. We rolled a really big advance on the Mega Knobs, and then the War Boss is right behind them. So we have multiple things to shoot with as far as our Scorches, and then get some multiple charges off inside the Mech Boys workshop here. And then the battle wagon headed off to the right here to see, if he's needed. He might just stay put though, because he is still on that center objective. On this side, Clunk over here moved up. He's going to hold objective 4, and then Clank decided to advance. We got an 8-inch charge from Clank into the Poxwalkers, so if he can get in, that would be good. And then the Docket Jet flew 90-degree turn over on this side, so we'll be putting some shots into probably the Poxwalkers or something. So let's get into the shooting phase. Ork shooting has completed. What did we do? The Docket Jet opened up into this unit of Poxwalkers and brought them down to 3 remaining. It did kind of nullify Clank's charge, but it did help in trying to clear this objective off. Over here, the Combi Scorchas went into the other Poxwalkers, and we brought down 6 of them? Yeah, 6. So there's 4 remaining in the building there. They are still towing in on that objective. Warboss Bloodgut did pop his Combi Scorcha into the other Poxwalkers, the 3 behind him, and brought them low. And then over here, the Combi Scorchas fired into the Rhino, because why not, and brought 2 wounds down. So it is down to 8. And the only other thing that happened was just shot some pistols, threw a stick bomb, big shooter, no damage on the drone. So that's it for shooting phase. Let's get into the charge phase. This is the one that matters. The WOG has been called. So hopefully we get some charges in, and then the +1 to attack will definitely help. Orks finished their top of turn 2 assaults. This is what happened. We did not get range on Clank over here, so he had to stay put. No assaults for him. The battle wagon did choose to stay on objective 1 in the center. The charge did go off, and I chose to charge the Mega Knobs up into the Plague Marines. They did well. What was played? A whole bunch of cards over here. So they fired Overwatch. The Plague Marines fired Overwatch and didn't do anything, unfortunately, to the Mega Knobs. I played Hit them harder for the extra attack damage, but then ultimately, with Disgustingly Resilient, that was kind of a stupid play. But I did it anyways, live and learn. And then John played Trench Fighters to try and fight back. Ultimately, the Power Claws did go off and brought four, five, six, seven. Yeah, four of the Plague Marines down with the Power Claws. And then in return, there was one wound given to a Mega Knob, and then the champion finished one Mega Knob off. So that was the trade over there. Unfortunately, Warboss Bloodgut wanted to get in on the Poxwalkers and the Plaguecaster, but even with Here We Go, he failed. So he's kind of out in the open here. He is standing on that objective, but those Poxwalkers are still towing in on that. Over here, the Knobs charged out of the truck into the drone and ultimately brought it down to 7 wounds. And then over here, Mega Knobs did fail their charge on the Rhino. So that was that. Pretty bloody in the center. I mean, the Poxwalkers are kind of whittled down to 4, and then the Plague Marines unfortunately lost a good many to their numbers. So let's get into Death Guard and see what they can do to counter the charge. Bottom of turn 2, Death Guard is going to go over what they did. Just real quick, they did score 4 points for having this objective on taken hold.
So what we're going to do in the command and movement phase, the Blight Drone, he fell back from the center, allowing this Rhino to disembark this unit right here, getting ready to shoot and possibly fight. We'll see how it goes. This Rhino also moved over to sort of block those Mega Knobs.
Yeah.
And then we had for the psychic phase, Little Smite just doing 1 mortal wound into that Mega Knob and also failing on a Gift of Contagion right there. But we did in the command phase did what is it called?
The Dead Walk Again. Brought 6 back, right?
We brought back 6, but I lost 5, so I only brought back 5.
Yeah. So that was that. Let's get on to shooting and charges. Shooting phase has concluded for the Death Guard. Starting over here.
So here we have the Plague Marines open up on them, doing a little bit of damage with the support of the Rhino and the Plague Burst Crawlers mortar.
Yeah. Brought down to 1 knob remaining.
And then the Plague Burst Crawler tried to pick off the last wound on the main battle tank in the center. Did not work, unfortunately.
Did get a wound, though, and I had to spend a command reroll to reroll the save. But, yeah, he's alive.
And then the 2 entropy cannons just whiffed on trying to take out that front dread right there.
Unfortunate. So we're going to get into some charges. End of Death Guard. Assault phase. What happened here? These guys are Plague Marines.
So the Plague Marines charged up into the knobs, took off the last one, and did a multi-charge into the truck, doing... He's down to 4 wounds.
Yeah, he did 5, and then in the Icon of Despair, I believe that's what you call it.
Yep.
Did another mortal wound. Over here,
the Rhino didn't do anything, but the Mega Mogs didn't do anything either.
No, I tried and they didn't do anything.
And then in the center one, the main one, I was able to pick off 2 extra Mega Knobs with my Power Fist and also the Plague Knives, dealing 1 more wound to the last remaining one. And he was able to put a wound onto the middle Plague Marine right there.
Yeah, so that's kind of a stalled combat there. So that's that. Let's get into Orks turn 3. end of turn 3. We did it all in one. In the movement phase, the Docket Jet moved over here. The Gretchen are still over behind here. They're being kind of, Gretchen-y. Clunk over here moved up. He's raring to go, but he wants to. The war boss is telling him to sit on the objective. Clank moved up over here, and as you can see, he got into combat. Battle Wagon, man, he also wants to rev up and charge, but he's so wounded at 1 wound remaining, so he kind of just reversed back onto the objective. Bloodgut shuffled forward. You can see he's in combat now. This truck fell out of combat just because I think that Power Claw would have finished him off in combat, so we'll make him take me down in the Death Guard turn. And that was it for movement phase. Shooting phase, the Docket Jet fired everything back into here and stripped 1 wound off the Plague Burst Crawler. That was it for shooting. Yeah, so then assault phases. Clank went in, brought the Plague Burst Crawler down to 9 wounds remaining. Could have been a lot worse for it, but just whiffed on those attacks and hits. In here, Bloodgut went combi charged into Poxwalkers and then up into the Plague Marines. As you can see, the Killer Claw and Brutal Butt Cunning just destroyed the Plague Marines. And then in the fight back, the Poxwalkers did nothing to the Mega Knob, and the Mega Knob brought 1 Poxwalker down. And then over here, this Rhino is blessed by Nurgle. No wounds done to the Rhino on those with all those Power Claws. So awesome job on the Death Guard Rhino. So that is it at the end of Orks turn 3. We did still score 12 points for primaries, and then another 3 points for engage on all fronts because I'm all over on the battlefield so far. So let's get into Death Guard, bottom of turn 3, and see how these combats kind of work out. Bottom of turn 3, Death Guard, movement phase. What happened in the movement phase?
So the Rhino over here is going to continue to annoy these Megnubs. He fell back to block off their sort of advance into my Plague Marines over there.
Yeah.
The Bloated Flight Drone flew up to try to take a pot shot at the middle tank, and that's pretty much all that was moved. In the shooting phase, the Bloated Flight Drone tried to shoot the middle tank, but didn't work out. The Plague Marines ended up making that happen for me. So that unit is finally gone.
With bolt guns, they took down the Battle Wagon. Over here.
And the Plague Burst Crawler just shot into the
Death Dread Clank.
Death Dread.
Just blew them up. All it took was the entropy cannons.
Entropy cannons, but it did blow up, doing 3 more wounds on the explosion. So now he's down to 6.
Yes.
And then over here, the Plague Marines did charge into the truck over here, killing him. Didn't blow up, so now I'm on that objective.
Yes, so they got direct assault for, what was that? 3 points for direct assault because they have that and they killed the unit on there. So that was good for that.
But interestingly enough here, the war boss here took off 4 Poxwalkers, but they were able to bite back, doing 3 wounds to him.
3 wounds to the Bloodgut. Ouch. So, ultimately, with Bring It Down, John scored 6 because of the Battle Wagon, the truck, and the Death Dread. So that was a good turn for the Death Guard. Let's head into turn 4, Orks, and see not too much left alive on the Orks. We have Meganobs, we got Bloodgut, we got Clank, and the Docket Jet. So, let's see what we can do. Orks just finished their turn 4 movement phase. The Docket Jet moved over here. Gretchen stayed put in that ramshackle bunker over there. The Meganobs actually piled around. Since the truck was gone, they went through the building and around. And then Bloodgut stayed here. Unorkily, as if that's a word, Bloodgut told Clank to fall back and try and get out of the way of at least the Plague Drone here. So he's still on that objective. wanted to charge forward into this, but did not. In the shooting phase, the Daka Jet wounded one Plague Bearer over here, and then the Scorchas and the Daka from the Mega Knobs, I think, brought down one. That was it for shooting phase. Assault phase, Bloodgut did take a wound from the Poxwalker, so he's down to one. He's about to get smited to death, but he did take off the Poxwalkers there, so that was good on him. And then over here, the charge went off, and the Power Claws snipped up a good many of the Plague Marines, and then they failed their morale check, which then one ran away, and the Plague Flail is still left there. So that is that. The Orks in this phase scored Taken Hold for 8 points, and then they still get engaged on all fronts on all 4 quarters. So they're up still on points. So let's get into the Death Guard and see if Bloodgut's still left alive here. So let's get into bottom of turn 4. Death Guard, end of turn 4. Not much movement around.
The Blood Flight Drone just moved down.
Yep.
To be able to shoot at the boss or at the Mega Knobs. He ended up shooting at the Mega Knobs. But eventually my Plague Caster smited the Bloodgut
Yes.
to death.
Sadly.
The 3 Mega Knobs are now reduced down to 1 with a wound.
Yeah.
From shooting from the Blight Drone and the Kami Bolter from the Rhino. The Rhino ended up charging, doing nothing, but getting nothing back once again. And then the Plague Burst Crawler shot 1 entropy cannon that hit, doing 5?
Yeah, we're down to 4 wounds on Clunk over there. So not a lot left on the board on both sides, but yeah, the Death Guard did score 4 points over there for Taken Hold. So let's just wrap up turn 5 and see what the points come out to. End of turn 5 Ork movement and shooting and everything. Daka Jet flew over here and put all of its Daka shots into that Plague Marine over there, and he is dead. Took everything though. Only 1 wound done. And then nothing over here. Gretchen are still Gretchen. Clank moved over just to shimmy even further into cover. See if he can't stay alive. And then in combat, I did 1 wound to the Rhino. So that is it. Let's get on to Death Guard, end of game, turn 5. End of game, Death Guard, movement, shooting, psychic, all that stuff. Plague Burst Crawler moved over.
Yep, shot into Clunk.
Oh, Clunk is gone.
Clunk is gone. And then the loaded drone shot the last Mega Nub, killed him.
Yeah. Rhino.
No more Mega Nubs.
Rhino fell back out of combat so he could get the shots in. And that was that.
Yep.
So they scored a good many points at the end there. You'll see on the screen shortly the Death Guard did lose to the Orks, but man, it was bloody. Look at the kills here. The only thing left on the board for the Orks was the puny Gretchen hiding in the Daka Jet, and then Death Guard has their valiant Rhino. He deserves to become like a Land Raider or something. And then the drone, the Plague Caster, and the Plague Burst Crawler. So they actually outnumber the Orks at the end of the game. Unfortunately, just the early push from the Orks just drove. We were just talking about it. Basically, the fighting was in this quadrant, and that was it. So definitely wasn't a swirly type of game. It was a boxed in type of game. But I think the Death Guard in the end broke out, at least. If the game were to go on to many more turns, they would have free reign of this board. So good game. Well, that was another one for the books. Orks taking the win tonight against the Death Guard. Happy with the win, actually. It was a slugfest for sure. It was kind of a drawn out back and forth. It wasn't like a quick back and forth. It looked like the Orks were going to really take it. And then the Death Guard, just turn 4, turn 5 really turned the tables as far as just attrition goes. The Orks just couldn't hold up to what was left of the Death Guard. So it was interesting to see. Unfortunately, it was just a little too late for the Death Guard to regain points. But that's kind of how 9th edition goes, I think. So yeah, Ork win, Ork victory. Happy to book one in for the Orks. That was good. Let's see here. MVP of the round for the Orks. I'm going to give it to the Mega Knobs. Both units. The one that deep striked, probably poor placement on that one. I was not thinking that John would pull that power slide, that Rhino in, and block them off. So that was actually an interesting tactic there on that. So probably poor placement on the Mega Knobs. I should have probably placed them behind the Mech Boy Workshop and just kind of scissored in on that Malignant Plague Caster and finished off those Plague Poxwalkers. So lesson learned there, but I think the Mega Knobs overall did a really good job of chopping up the Plague Marines up on the Mech Boys kind of ramparts. The Poxwalkers, Bloodgut did help, but unfortunately Bloodgut failed that massive charge there. If he would have got into the Poxwalkers and the Plaguecaster in that second turn charge, that would have been probably game over a little quicker, at least in the center. I would have kind of pulled out, I could have swooped around and hit that Plague Burst Crawler. But that's how it goes sometimes. You just, even with Here We Go, you fail those charges, is what it is. So yeah, MVP, Mega Knobs. MVP for the Death Guard. I'm gonna give it to the Plague Burst Crawler just because those cannons, took down the Death Guard, took down the Battle Wagon. Ultimately, just was shooting down as much armor as possible, which it's designed to do, right? Not so much the mortar, but the was it the entropy cannons? I believe they're called. Absolute bosses when it comes to shooting in this game as well. And I was trying to use cover as much as I could. It was a little interesting as the Ork player. I was holding back that truck clank on the left in that battle wagon. They wanted to rev up. I mean, I wanted to, as the general the war boss wanted to charge forward, but it is a points game, holding back and scoring 12 points. I think it was 3 turns in a row. That was beneficial to the win, at least. So yeah, the board was fun to play on. Absolutely. I think we're going to do similar setups like that where when there's objectives right down the middle of no man's land to kind of surround them with terrain like that. That was fun. I think Death Guard learned some things tonight. Switching out the Predator from the last game we played with the drone was a great thing. More drones to come, more than likely. The 7 7 strong Plague Marine units, pretty good. They held down. They are resilient. I mean, that's what Death Guard is, with disgusting resilience, and then the Armor of Contempt was very beneficial for Orks, because Orks, aside from the Power Claws, the -1 even on the Daka Jets wasn't breaking that. The Armor of Contempt was just nullifying that, so they were getting their 3-up saves. In covers, they were getting their 2-up saves. So beneficial to the Death Guard in this army. I think if the Death Guard got first turn, it may have been a little different. Although the Death Guard are slow. They would have a hard time even that turn 1 push out of the Mech Boys Workshop onto the center objectives. I don't think they would have done that first turn. I think they would have got halfway there, and then I would have met them at the bottom of turn 1, which would have been a little bit interesting to see how much that would have turned the tides on the tactics. With the Orks getting first turn and zooming up the table like that, absolutely. It was fun to see the Orks do that, because I used to play Truck Rush all the time. So with the Battle Wagon, unfortunately the Battle Wagon just couldn't get in with that Death Rolla. Again, it needed to sit on that objectives. But it was interesting seeing those Orks push up the board and basically hem in the Death Guard on their quadrant. and the Death Guard didn't move off of that quadrant the whole game. I think turn 5, the 7 Plague Marines did push out, and then ultimately they fell to the Docket Jets and the Mega Knobs. So cool on the Orks for surrounding them and holding on as long as they did. I think in the pregame preamble, I was talking about that glass hammer effect, where the Orks hit and crash, and then if they don't break, they'll stick in it for the game. And they didn't break. Turn 4 and turn 5, they did ultimately succumb to the wounds from the Plague Burst Crawler, the drone, the malignant plague cluster. I mean, that was beneficial to the Death Guard, but again, it was just too late for them to then push out and get onto those points. So yeah, overall fun game. It's not a matchup you typically see. At least I haven't seen a lot of Orks versus Death Guard matchups out there. So hopefully this one at least was an interesting, unique battle report to watch. And let's get into the next one. Not sure what we're going to do yet. We're still playing around with maybe a Grey Knights versus Khorne Demons. That might be kind of a fun little narrative to play. But then we do have some other armies. Like I said, I'm working on my Death Guard. John's working on Chaos Knights. So let's get into the next battle report. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Team Dark Strategies. Have a good one.